So what have you seen out of Stanford's defense that really sticks out at you?
You know, they do a good job. I think they play very well together as a team. You know, they don't defend very many snaps a game, you know, based off of a ball control offense. But, you know, I think they do a great job. They're one of the better defenses in our conference. You know, play a lot of man. You know, pretty much the theme to the players this week is you got to win the one-on-one battles, and it's going to be big for us this week. And, you know, being my first big game, I think it's going to be a pretty exciting atmosphere.
So I presume you have a lot of red in your wardrobe, or at least had. Is that gone by the wayside and left in a storage box somewhere?
You know, I learned my lesson early. Really, like my first week on a job, I had a shirt with a little bit of red in it, and you know, I got pretty much ridiculed throughout the entire day. So I haven't worn any red since I've been here since that day.
Was it like a striped shirt?
It was a striped shirt. It had some navy in it too, but I learned my lesson.
What have you seen out of the middle of their defense? Their inside linebackers, they've played like 6 different guys at those 2 spots, and then their safeties.
Yeah, they do a lot of good they play a lot of different players at those positions. I think they've gone through some injuries and, you know, guys moving in and out of the things, but I think they do a good job of moving in and out of different fronts. You know, they'll get in 3 down and drop 8, and they'll get in odd fronts and nickel fronts, and just kind of I think what they do is just based off of their personnel. You know, they're going to go with that direction with it, but they do a good job playing a lot of different guys.
I've seen Solomon Thomas come out of the tackle position and seeing him come out of the end, and instead I keep trying to go, well, what is he? Is he a tackle or is he an end? Do you have an opinion on that?
I think he's both of them. I think he's probably the best defensive lineman that we've faced up to date. You know, I think that kid's all over the field. You know, he's definitely going to be a guy that we have to find when they're out there on the field and make sure we target the protection the right way, because, you know, he wrecks a lot of offensive lines up throughout the league. So, you know, we definitely got to keep our eye on him.
Is it going to put more emphasis on the quick game?
Oh, definitely. I think there's got to be a quick game. I think over the past 3 games, you know, we've struggled a little bit with throwing down the field because we got put in situations where we had to throw, you know, especially those intermediate routes. But, you know, I think this week has been a very huge emphasis on getting the ball out of Davis' hands quickly.
Will those intermediate routes play a large role this week?
Oh, definitely, because it's, you know, it's a lot of man concepts. You know, they play a lot of man free, so, you know, from the get-go, you know, there's going to be contested plays right when the ball is snapped, so you definitely got to be able to hold on to it a little bit longer to get to those bigger plays in the intermediate level.
You said last week you wanted to really kind of buckle down and run more, but then you guys got down quick. I mean, you ran out early quick, and you had to throw.
Exactly.
What have you seen will be the result of running against this team?
Yeah, I still think, you know, what I say every week, you have to establish a run game. If not, it makes it pretty hard to call plays. And, you know, I think that's when we struggle with throwing the ball down the field, because the defense knows that we're going to have to throw it vertically, and, you know, the defensive line can pin their ears back and go get Davis. So I think we have to find a good balance of getting the ball out of his hand quick and establishing a running game early to have success versus defense.
About a third of your red zone scores, you've had to settle for field goals. What do you suppose is the thing that stopped you from finishing drives?
A lot of it has to do with not being very disciplined. I think we've had a lot of penalties and negative plays that have just, you know, stalled out, and we haven't been able to overcome it. You know, again, that's something that we've been emphasizing a lot with the team this week, is being better in situational football. And it's not just in the red zone. We also got to be better on third down. You know, I think that's one of the weakest things. If you look at it statistically, we're not very good at third down, and we're not very good at scoring touchdowns in the red zone. So, you know, we changed some things up this week in practice. You know, hopefully it works. We're just trying to have another approach and try to improve those categories.
You faced 2 defenses in the past few weeks that do a lot of shifting, a lot of motioning before the snap. What have you seen out of Stanford in that regard?
They do a little bit more, but once they do a good job at mixing the fronts out. They're going to drop defensive ends out into coverage, and they're going to bring them. So, you know, they're not going to, you know, stem the fronts from an odd front to a nickel front. They're going to play games on who's coming and who's going.
4th consecutive week, you guys are playing pretty rangy corners, big guys, average 6'1" or 6'2". Right. How do you contend with those guys?
Yeah, definitely. You know, that's always been a thing that I've seen so far in the Pac-12. The defensive backs are very long, and especially out of the past 3 teams that we played. The main thing is we got to be disciplined, and we got to be able to get off press, because they're gonna come up and press you a lot of the time. So that's something that we've talked to these kids a lot about. But you're also going to have to be multiple with your formations and motion and bunch and stack, and hopefully we can get some better isolation with the DB and the receivers.
We're hearing that the weather may not. I mean, you guys have played in the dark for so long. You finally get a snap when the slide out, and it might be rain.
A rainy game. Yeah.
What effect does that have on this type of offense?
It doesn't have any effect. I think it's just part of the game. It's part of football, and we got to be ready for anything that happens, if it's the weather or whatever the defense throws at us. So, we're going to still have the same mindset. We played in a lot of rain games in the past, and I've been in those rain games where we've thrown it 80 times. So, I don't think anything changes from our standpoint.
Can you speak to you've had him for 1 year, can you speak to the contribution of Stephen Moore on the offensive line?
Stephen Moore, he's been great. I know this is his last big game. I think a lot of the guys are wanting to go out there and get a win for him and his way out, because everybody loves being around him. He does a great job. He's a great leader with that offensive line, and he's a true testament of a guy that's just been here and worked hard throughout his years, and just it'd be a good way for him to go out.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.